Hello, my name is Mark Curran, and I am here with my good friend and host of the Spirit Plant Medicine Conference, Stephen Gray. And today we are going to be talking about accessibility in the world of psychedelics as things are becoming more open and more legal. And our good friends Tom Hatsis and Eden Woodruff, who are in Oregon, in Portland, have coined a couple of great new terms that we're going to get into and dive into. So we're really happy to have them here, and that's going to be the nature of our conversation. Stephen, welcome. Thanks for being here as always. Good to see you.
Thanks, Mark.
Awesome. Tom Hatsis and Eden Woodruff joining us, which is fantastic. And they've coined a couple of great terms, as you can see. I'm going to move out of the way so you can see my image back here. Profit-Delics, which I thought was really fantastic. And I like their name of their conference, the Pay-What-You-Can-Ference. I love that too. And just the simple phrase that non-accessible is not acceptable. And that's going to be the focus of our conversation today. And this is what I love about what you're saying about accessibility. You know, as we all know, mushrooms aren't expensive. If you can go pick them and forage them as a animal of nature, right, as a human being of nature, that doesn't subscribe to these laws. You know, the bear can go eat whatever it wants. The deer can go eat whatever it wants, right? Mm-hmm. It's not illegal for them, but it becomes challenging for us.
Right.
And so accessibility, when you take a look at the mass populace, it's one thing people who have the means. But today we're at such a challenge within the economic climate of, the world, really, that there's a lot of people who could benefit from this work, this therapy, this medicine, whatever we want to call it. Yet mm-hmm. when all of a sudden it becomes $1,200 for a session or $2,000 for a session, how does that person who's making minimum wage or just struggling to get by afford it?
Yeah.
Right.
I think that, things are going to morph and change. I think that this is a brand new world with psychedelics. And I think that the current model, people are working it out, and we're going to fill the gaps where we can. I totally support decriminalization and people learning to grow their own, friends sitting for trusted friends. Another thing we also raise funds for is integration, support, and education. The funds we raise, they go to help make our conference accessible. All of the integration circles we hold monthly and the talks that we give, we try to make those as accessible as we can. So as you know, Mark, these experiences, the real work begins after the experience. And so, we're there every week holding our open mic, creating community. And so, it's about creating the community and the structure to support people having these experiences as well. It's a big part of it.
Wonderful. Yeah.
So you mentioned your conference. That's coming up again here July 21st to 23rd in the wonderful city of Portland, Oregon. The Pay-What-You-Can-Ference. I love it. Don't say it too loudly because Stephen might want to jump on board with that.
It's just the Pay-What-You-Can-Ference is just an extension of our larger mission of making not just the medicines, but information about them accessible. So we developed kind of a new model for conferences, for a conference that is totally sponsor supported, that, people, different conscious businesses who agree with, our stance that these medicines and information to them should be accessible to everyone. And by doing that, we're able to keep our ticket prices low and also somewhat high for people who don't have the financial means but would like to come, and those who do have the financial means who, by giving a little bit more, ensure that the person without financial means can get in. So essentially, those who buy a higher ticket, thank you so much for coming, but also thank you again because you just made it possible for somebody else who doesn't have the financial means to come too. So I think there's a $50 tier, a 75, 125, 250, and 500, because it's also a fundraiser for our Psanctum Thrift and Psychedelic Education Center.
Nice. So tell us about the actual conference, like what's the format, etc.
Sure. Do you want to go for it, or do you want me
Sure.
to
Well,
shut up?
it's 2 full days. Talks about 20 speakers.
Yeah,
About 20
last time about
speakers.
that, yeah.
Stephen Gray will be there.
Stephen will be one of them.
Dennis McKenna, the Dank Duchess,
Acacia Lewis,
Lewis,
Petey Newman, Kobe Michael,
Baba Masha.
Or this starts on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think we got to Baba Masha
Yeah.
on your speaker list there.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Solana Booth, who I believe had spoken at SPMC. Absolutely, I don't have to tell you how wonderful she is. Absolutely incredible person. We also have
The ketamine panel.
Yeah.
We're having some of our ketamine therapists they're going to be speaking on ketamine at the conference, and then a psychedelic arts panel. We're hosting this at the beautiful Haven / Jaja PDX in Portland, and it's a gorgeous visionary art collective. So we're going to be having a panel with some of the artists there, and Cacique.
Yeah, Cacique Antonio has one of the most remarkable stories I've heard in a while. He's from the inner city in New York, and he chose mushrooms over the trappings of inner city life, and helps others kind of escape those trappings through entheogenic experiences. So I'm really excited to have him out here, and absolute sweetheart of a guy.
Excellent.
And I'm very excited for the cannabis ceremony on
Yes.
Saturday night.
Yeah, Stephen will be hosting a cannabis ceremony on Saturday night. So we'll have, the range of talks. We'll break for dinner, and then we'll come back, and Stephen will lead us all to further enlightenment.
Just like the ones we've been doing at the Spirit Plant Medicine Conference for the last 3-4 years. If anyone who's watching or listening to this has been to that conference, they'll know what we're doing for that.
Yeah, and I think it's a beautiful way, because one of the things that, I always believe experience is the best teacher. We could read all the books, we can memorize and study as much as we want, but it's more of an intellectual based recitation of information versus an experiential intake of the information that creates the experience that then leads to transformation. And that's one of the things that I love that we started doing at the Spirit Plant Medicine Conference back in 2018, because it had just become legal here in Canada. So we had that great opportunity to do that and to hear the feedback from people and the experiences that they were having. And it was something else to see all these high profile speakers and everybody out there, and everybody's out there, imbibing and enjoying the sacrament of cannabis for the ceremony. And I think it's always a great way when you can bring experience in to these conferences. So Stephen Gray, good on you, my friend.
Yeah.
Well, Tom invited, and I said yes.
I always loved the ceremonial aspect of SPMC. Yeah. Like I remember the first year I attended, I think it was 2017.
In the old room.
In the back of the old room.
Yeah.
And that year there was like a ring at the very end, and like
yes.
Yeah, people held hands and went through
there was like a
the building
snake dance of sorts, didn't we?
Yes.
All join and dance all the way around. Yeah.
I think that was Kateri Walker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and I just came home from that weekend and I was buzzing. I was so high from that experience, and that really changed my idea of what a conference experience could be like. And I really love that, and I'm inspired by that, and I want to bring. I'm still in your these ideas are just too good, and want to bring it bring that magic in with us.
Well, we're importing the idea.
Well, hey, if something works, do more of it, as I always learned.
Absolutely.
Model, learn from the the giants of the shoulders we stand on. But that's great. And what when it comes down to the conference here in Portland, is there anything specific? If there's one specific thing that you wanted the world to know about this, what would that be?
I would say that we can, we don't have to abide by the Profit-Delic model, and we don't have to abide by exclusionary practices. And we just have to get a little creative as to how to deal with them, with these kinds of issues. And we're hoping that if we can make this sort of conference model work, that it will, hopefully other psychedelic societies will adopt it as well, to see that, yeah, this actually can be done in a way that's totally, as accessible as it possibly can be for as many people as it possibly can be.